What if I told you some of the most influential bands from the 60s, 70s, and 80s are bands you probably never heard of? True pioneers of rock who ended up forgotten by time. Sometimes it's too little, too late. Like the first band on our list. Number 10, Blackfoot. The only band on this list to reach platinum status with their album Strikes. But it wasn't an overnight success. Blackfoot spent years grinding it out, touring relentlessly and pushing through lineup changes before Strikes finally broke through. The album channeled their aggressive, metal-edged Southern boogie into tracks like Highway Song and Train Train. Sales were slow at first, but against the trend, they kept climbing. Rock music was changing fast, and it should have left Blackfoot behind. The raw, boogie-driven sound of the 70s was giving way to polished arena rock and the rising MTV era. Blackfoot decided to modernize. On their 1983 album, Siogo, they softened their edge and brought in keyboards. The plan backfired. Fans hated the watered-down sound, and the album flopped. By late 1985, the band had reached the end. In 1986, Blackfoot officially broke up. Losing your sound to MTV is one thing, but what happens when you lose your entire band to bigger bands? Number 9, Trapeze. A power trio that helped pioneer funk rock. Glenn Hughes on bass and vocals, Mel Galley on guitar, Dave Holland on drums. They took the heavy groove of hard rock and injected soul vocals shaped by Stevie Wonder and James Brown. Their late 1970 album Medusa is a classic. Chunky riffs, funk-driven bass lines. They supported the Moody Blues on major U.S. dates and looked like a band headed straight to the top. For a moment, a funk rock power trio was keeping pace with arena giants. You don't know what we can find here. Why don't you... Then Deep Purple came calling. In 1973, they needed a replacement for Roger Glover and recruited Glenn Hughes. He couldn't say no. Galley and Holland kept Trapeze alive. But then Holland left to join Judas Priest. Trapeze finally unraveled in the early 80s. Peter Golby departed for Uriah Heep in 1981, and by 1982, Mel Galley accepted an offer to join Whitesnake. Number 8, Griffin.
The Kevin Grimble rode out on a day.
If you ever wondered what rock would sound like if a medieval king's court had a Gibson SG, Griffin was your answer. Formed by Royal College of Music graduates, they mixed prog rock with crumhorns, bassoons, and centuries-old instruments most bands wouldn't dare touch. Manager Brian Lane, who also handled Yes, put them on the biggest stages imaginable, landing Griffin the opening slot on Yes's Relayer Tour in 1974, including Madison Square Garden. Imagine a packed New York arena watching a band play 15th century woodwinds alongside electric guitars. Somehow it worked. But by 1977, everything had shifted. Punk had exploded, and Griffin's label pushed them toward a more commercial record, reportedly with just days' notice. The result was Treason. When it arrived, longtime fans barely recognized the band. To Griffin, it felt like confirmation that prog rock's moment had passed. With Richard Harvey moving toward film and television work, the band quietly broke apart. Another casualty of a scene that changed faster than they ever could.
Let it go round, 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 round.
We're talking about bands that defied the odds but got erased. What's coming? A Baroque pop meltdown caused by a dad who stole royalties. A mock sacrifice that barred a band from going to America. And the band called heavy metal before anyone else. Number 7, The Left Bank.
Just walk away, Renee. You want to...
If Griffin made prog rock medieval, the Left Bank made pop baroque. In 1965, these New York kids used harpsichords and lush string arrangements to make 2-minute pop songs. Walk Away Renee became an instant classic. They had everything lined up to be the next big thing, but they were tangled up with a controlling manager who happened to be songwriter Michael Brown's father.
Just walk away, Renee. You want to
Harry Lukowski, a respected session violinist, treated the band like something he owned. He pushed people out, reshuffled the lineup, and even tried to assemble a new Left Bank to capitalize on the hit, a version that never actually performed live. And the damage happened fast. By the time Walk Away Renee was climbing the charts, the original unit was already splintering. The Left Bank is one of many bands undone by managers who held too tight. Next at number 6 is a band labeled too satanic for Black Sabbath. Number 6, Black Widow. Long before the satanic panic of the 80s, in an era before shock rock even had a playbook, Black Widow were already performing theatrical extremes, performing mock sacrifices on stage. They knew the gimmick would make them stand out in the heavy rock scene, and just because it was fake didn't mean they half did it. To make the rituals feel convincing, they consulted Alex Sanders, the self-styled king of the witches. The stage show escalated into a full ceremony, with lead singer Kip Trevor at the center, climaxing in the staged sacrifice of a nude woman portraying the demon Astaroth. It worked, maybe too well. The press fixated. Promoters grew uneasy. Black Widow became known as much for rumor and controversy as for their music. Then it started costing them. Their American plans stalled. Management pressured them to abandon the occult image and chase a more mainstream sound. The next album flopped. So did the one after that. Poor sales followed and the label dropped them. Black Widow chased safety, lost their edge, and faded away. But the shock rock blueprint they helped create would echo long after they were gone.
come to the Sabbath, Satan's
Let's trade our devil horns for a space helmet because the band at number 5 will take us on a sci-fi epic. Number 5, Nectar. Formed by 4 English expats gigging in Hamburg, Nectar blended psychedelic space rock with prog structures to build ambitious concept albums. Like 1973's Remember the Future, a sidelong 2-part suite about a blind boy making contact with an alien presence. Strange as it sounds, it worked. The album climbed to number 13 on the Billboard charts, an incredible run for something this far outside the mainstream. After that, Nectar finally arrived stateside for their breakthrough run. They brought a psychedelic light show with them, liquid lights and oil projections, bubbling and shifting in real time, turning concerts into cosmic journeys instead of rock gigs.
Desolation Valley now.
Word spread, crowds grew. Just as Nectar seemed to be lifting off, things unraveled. In late 1976, founding frontman Roy Albrighton walked away. Without him, the band wasn't the same. The songs grew shorter, the arrangements simpler. 2 years later, the band broke up, then reformed, then broke up again. Nectar never recaptured the momentum they had with their original frontman. And coming up next is a band that was becoming teen idols until the mysterious death of their singer brought everything to a sudden stop. Number 4, the Bobby Fuller 4. In 1961, Bobby Fuller recorded his first single in his parents' living room. A few years later, he moved to Los Angeles with his brother Randy and guitarist Jim Reese. There, they teamed up with drummer Dwayne Quirico and released their first records under the Delphi umbrella. In 1965, Delphi boss Bob Keane renamed the group the Bobby Fuller 4 ahead of their single Take My Word. Later that year, Let Her Dance gave them their first national attention, soon eclipsed by I Fought the Law, which climbed to number 9 on the charts. Just as momentum built, pressure followed. Touring wore the band down. Quirico quit. Reese received a draft notice, and Keane signed a distribution deal with Roulette Records, run by Morris Levy, a powerful and controversial figure. Then everything stopped. On July 18, 1966, Bobby Fuller was found dead in his mother's Oldsmobile outside his Hollywood apartment. He was soaked in gasoline with a gas can on the floorboard. The death certificate listed accidental asphyxiation from gasoline inhalation, but the medical examiner marked suicide, accident, and homicide, each with question marks. The case was never conclusively resolved. The band disbanded immediately. A brief 1967 revival as the Randy Fuller Four didn't last. Fuller's legacy endured when bands like The Clash carried I Fought the Law into punk history. Another sudden death also derailed the band at number 3. Number 3, The Chameleons. Early 80s Manchester. The Chameleons were building a sound shaped by delay pedals and shimmering dual guitars. Bassist and frontman Mark Burgess, guitarist Reg Smithies and Dave Fielding, and drummer John Lever crafted hypnotic, atmospheric songs about alienation and anxiety in Thatcher-era Britain. Fielding's use of the Roland Space Echo gave the band its signature sense of motion and depth. In the UK, momentum was hard to find. They briefly signed to Epic Records, but were dropped after clashing with the label over image and direction. They resurfaced on Static Records, an independent label distributed by Virgin, which quietly disqualified them from the British indie charts and limited press exposure. Across the Atlantic, it was a different story. A 1984 U.S. tour built a devoted college radio following, and Script of the Bridge became a cult classic with American fans. Just as things were lining up, everything collapsed. In 1987, their manager, Tony Fletcher, died suddenly of a heart attack, just 2 days before sessions were set to begin on a fourth album for Geffen. The band played one final memorial show in New Jersey, then fractured and dissolved. Cut short just before a real breakthrough. Their influence would echo later through Oasis, The Verve, and the Smashing Pumpkins.
Is there anyone there?
Next is the first band ever called heavy metal. Number 2, Sir Lord Baltimore. Three high school friends from Brooklyn answered a classified ad in the Village Voice that led them to A&R man Mike Appel, the same figure who would later launch and manage Bruce Springsteen. Appel helped shape their sound and co-produce their debut album, Kingdom Come, recorded at Vantone Studios in New Jersey and finished at Electric Lady Studios in New York. Their rise was meteoric. Their first live show was at Carnegie Hall. Their second, the Fillmore East, opening for the Jay Giles Band and Black Sabbath. They were being positioned as the next great American hard rock band. But it unraveled fast. A disastrous tour, heavy drug use, clashing egos, and a rushed second album all took their toll. It started to go sideways at the Virginia Beach Dome, where they opened for Black Sabbath in front of more than 5,000 people. Drummer and frontman John Garner later claimed the power was cut on them 3 times during their set and suspected sabotage from Sabbath's camp. Then came the sophomore slump. Their self-titled second album lacked the fire of their debut. Garner later admitted the sound was thicker and hazier because, in his words, we were stoned a lot. Worse still, the album included Where Are We Going?, presented as a live recording, but actually a studio track with fake crowd noise added at the producer's request. The record flopped. Mercury Records dropped them. A fake live moment killed Sir Lord Baltimore's momentum. But number 1 had the opposite problem. They were too real, too raw, and too loud for the industry to handle. Number 1. The Sonics.
'Cause she's an evil chick. Say she's the witch.
This ferocious garage rock group from Tacoma, Washington, helped forge the blueprint for punk rock through sheer volume and aggression. Their signature intensity was partly an accident. When recording The Witch in a Seattle studio, the teenagers were terrified. Drummer Bob Bennett, frozen with nerves, counted the song off at nearly twice the intended speed. They rushed through it and left convinced they'd blown their big moment. Instead, that manic energy became their calling card. The Witch turned into a massive Northwest hit, even as some local radio stations restricted airplay over its bizarre subject matter.
'Cause she's the witch.
Riding that momentum, the Sonics released 2 albums and became one of the top draws in the region, opening shows for major touring acts, including the Beach Boys, and sharing Northwest bills with the Kinks. Then came the pivot. The band moved to Jordan Records and headed to Hollywood, where the 1967 album, introducing the Sonics, emerged cleaner and more polished. The band hated the result. By 1968, the original lineup had splintered. Some pulled into the draft, others heading back to college. We just walked through 10 bands that defied the odds. Who else do you think deserves to be on this list? Let us know in the comments.